District of Alabama, and an MSNBC legal analyst, Joyce Vance. Joyce, good morning. Good to see you. So we knew that the DA down there, the Manhattan DA, Cy Vance, was looking into these hush payments to two women over affairs during the 2016 campaign. What we learned yesterday, it seems to me, is that they're also looking into bank and insurance fraud by the Trump Organization.
That's right. Cy Vance, who I'm not related to, confirmed that yesterday in this pleading, and it's important to know the posture of the case. This is Cy Vance going to the court and saying, the president has no claims that have any merit. You need to dismiss this second amended complaint that he's filed. He's tried repeatedly to state claims that would survive court challenge and failed. And Vance says, go ahead and dismiss this complaint. It's time for us to enforce our subpoena and get the Mazars document. And the bombshell, and it's one that the president's lawyers stepped straight into, is their argument that, you know, there's really no need to do this. This is an overbroad subpoena. All that the DA is investigating is these claims about hush money payments to Stormy McDaniels and Susan McDougal, the two women the president is alleged to have had extramarital affairs with. And suddenly the Manhattan DA says, oh, no, that's not the case. And in fact, the judge has seen early on in camera, which means the judge reviewed this document alone without Trump's lawyers being entitled to see it, an affidavit called the Shine Rock Affidavit that set out the full scope of our investigation. And while we don't have to tell you at this time, Vance says, the full scope of our investigation, what's in the public record are these allegations of bank fraud, insurance fraud, and the clear implication is that there might be more, Willie.
Joyce, a political question here. It's hard not to wonder, will any of this come to light, see the light of day before the November election? What do you think are the odds? Does this seem like because of the political nature of this case that it will be expedited, or not because it is so inherently political?
I think that's an important question, Elise, and the best answer that I can give you is that the political nature of this case shouldn't influence the proceedings at all. I know a lot of folks have a hard time accepting that people in the judicial system set aside politics, but it's important to do that. I think the reality here is that this case will move pretty quickly because of the weakness of the president's arguments. As Vance says in his pleading, these are meritless garden variety claims that the president is making on his third attempt to get this complaint in court. And so there's really little left for the judge to do. This judge has already ruled that the president's claims are meritless. The president doesn't raise any new claims. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals has essentially put its imprimatur on the argument that Vance has made. And we could, and I hesitate to have a crystal ball when it comes to courts, but I think we could see this move very quickly. Certainly it should.
By the way, we had a Whitewater flashback a few minutes ago, said Susan McDougal. I know you meant Karen McDougal. Just want to make sure we're clear about that. Meanwhile, Joyce, the president has threatened legal action against Nevada after the state passed a bill to expand mail-in voting and left the door open to a potential executive order to counter mail-in voting. Joyce, what does that even mean? Is that something the president could do? What would that executive order look like? Would it be legal?
This is just bluster by the president. States set the way that they vote. There's a wide variety across the country in how states vote, whether it's strictly in person, whether absentee voting is permitted, and whether you have to have an excuse to get an absentee ballot or whether you can just do it for any reason you choose. And, of course, there are many states now that increasingly have moved to use mail-in voting, where you may get an application in the mail to get your ballot, or this ballot is sent to you, and all you have to do is send it back in. And that wide variety, that's part of federalism in this country, where states get to decide primarily how they'll vote with some limitations set by Congress. The short answer is that the president can't successfully challenge what's going on in Nevada or any place else with an executive order. If he does, he'll be in court very quickly, and he will not win because he doesn't have the right to tell people in Nevada how they'll vote.